makes your organization different from other women-related organizations in the area?
That's a great question, and we've spent a lot of time talking about this because there are different women organizations here and throughout various different cities. And what we tend to think about that is our personality. What makes it special is creating our unique handprint on that. So it's ways that we support the women, it's the ways that we talk and receive feedback to the women, it's the ways that that feminine profile that we talked about, ways that we drive our business forward. And we've looked at other organizations and how they do it, and we like to feel more organic and more homey and more cozy. We like to make sure we know our following and know our women, and make sure we follow their path and their journeys. Right now we're so small that we know where they're coming from, we know what they worry about, we know how to help them, and we're figuring out how to make that grow, and as it grows to scale, how we can keep that really intimate relationship with their journeys throughout that process.
A huge differentiator for us is the fact that we focus on community-driven engagement and community-driven empowerment. So we've noticed that some of the organizations, especially nationwide, some of the organizations that might be doing similar things or have similar goals are really driven on like conference attendance or big seminars where there's not a lot of one-on-one interaction. And you don't get that community feel like you do in WELL. We actually get photos submitted all the time of WELL women that are running into each other out in real life and then collaborating on projects. And a lot of them, they use their WELL bag as like an ambassador badge for the program and meeting out with other women. So we're really a community engagement and community-driven empowerment group that's providing that development organically, rather than some sort of contrived or programmed state.
We want to keep it as a small group orientation. I think I saw you.
Yeah, how do you come up with the topics for these meetings, these monthly meetings? It would seem like the careful selection of topics is going to mean the difference between success and failure of your group,
yes.
And that also allows you to differentiate yourself from others. So how do you pick the topics? How do you know what's on their minds or what needs to be on their mind?
Yes, absolutely. That's a great question. So that's one reason why we made that feminine profile. We talked about finances. We talked about health. We talked about all of these different things that women, right here, all these things that women are going to eventually run into in their life. So whether that be buying a home as a single female or buying a home as a wife, whether that be, whether to have children or not, whether it be, whether to go to that doctor's appointment or not. We sat there and we thought about all of the things that women run into, or women are being told, or women are hearing or seeing or feeling throughout their day. And we start to really identify women who are the pioneers of whatever the topic may be. So if it's a health, we'll go to EVMS. We'll ask for, the top doctor. If we have parents that have children with autism, we'll find a specialty doctor in that area and we'll bring her in and we'll talk about it. We try to identify and hone down our speakers to who is in the front of their career talking about this subject and how we can teach our women what they need to know so that they can make informed decisions.
And it's not all just based on research. So we can go and research demographics, and obviously we can create what we think a schedule of speakers is going to help. But we also poll our members. So every workshop we have discussions about who would you like to see? What's on your mind?
Yes.
Who are you hearing from? What are you struggling with? And we've had a couple instances where we've already booked some of the speakers that they're suggesting or topics that they're suggesting, but we've also helped connect them. So not all subjects, not all struggles will make good workshops. So to your point, it is very, very vital, and we are very choosy about
Yes.
that. But another value add for us to our members is the fact that we can connect them with the thought leaders in whatever they're struggling with. So if somebody is struggling with, say, household finances or their retirement plan, any of these things, we have 7 or 8 people that we can connect them with, even if we can't give them a full workshop. So by kind of layering our support, we're able to give them all of what they need and all of what they're asking for without necessarily devoting a full workshop if we feel it's not the time for that subject.
Yes.
I like the idea of personal and professional development and that extra touch of connecting people to the resources that they need. One suggestion I would have is to maybe have a tagline other than Virginia Beach, because if I see your branding, like the bag and the candles and stuff, and I Google it, I get like drilling and industrial applications as a search result. So maybe if it was like, well, women's workshop or something, then that would bring them directly to you. And so as you have people that go out and represent your brand through their bags and stuff like that, other people can Google and find you.
Definitely. Thinking about marketing overall in 2017, that's definitely something that's on the list. So thank you for that.
Okay, I have a couple of questions, and they're not related. And a minute ago, you answered Ray about why are you different from other people.
Yes.
So, as a curiosity for this group, maybe you could tell us who do you consider to be your direct competitors? Who, if I didn't come to your workshop, where was I going before?
Right.
And then the other question has to do with your financial model. Are people paying for this membership? Are you paying your speakers? How are you making money? And
Great question.
what's your plan there?
So I'd like to take the competitor question first. So we don't really have competitors. I know that we have some competing organizations that do similar things. We obviously touched on that, but part of what really drives us is women empowering women to do badass things. So we're working with some of the other local organizations to try and formulate some partnerships across these different groups, because we're avid believers that women should support others' goals. And just because we might be doing similar things doesn't mean we're necessarily drawing the same audience or having the same speakers. So while there are groups that might overlap with some of our goals and our tendencies and our speakers, overall, what's good for the area is good for the area.
So what groups would those be? That's what she's
So we
asking.
have Modern Femme,
Is one locally here.
and then a couple nationally that we consider in line with us would be
TEDx Women.
TEDx Women,
Yeah.
Career Contessa, all of these larger groups.
Do they have presence here, these other groups, or is there?
Some of them have
an attractor?
subsets. Modern Femme is actually locally
Is here.
based.
And TEDx has come to Hampton Roads. I don't think they've done a TEDx Women here in Hampton Roads.
Not yet.
They have in
We'll see.
Richmond. And that's one of the things that we're also really excited about is that Richmond would like to start well. So they are interested in starting it there as well. And it has to be, we've talked with them many times, it has to be them cultivating it. Like they have to choose their speakers, they have to work on their worksheets because Richmond is different than Hampton Roads.
Right, absolutely.
And yeah,
But and as a side note, when we talk about competitors, just to warn you, you can have a unique idea, but everybody is competing, okay? So nobody is in a void place with no competitors or no competition. So, and one thing that will help strengthen you going forward is to identify women who are going to other things. I mean, I know that there are lots of women in a real estate organization, for instance, and lots of women who might be going to B&Is. They might be people who are already going somewhere, because are you looking for people who are already going to other events, because we can only do so many things in a day, or are you seeking people who don't belong to anything because they don't seem to fit in the box? So being able to identify that and think about that and be real open about anything a woman can go to, any regular event is kind of a competitor because it competes on our time. So when you can identify things that women go to, ask your women to come to your workshops and say, what other groups do you belong to find these things, and it'll help you to strengthen where you're going and find the people and see who you're missing or who you need to pull from. It's just a side. But anyways, so on to
And then you had a
financial.
financial question as well. So I'll let Sheena answer that one.
yeah, so right now we are taking registration, so they do pay for each workshop. We started off really, really small. We started just $5, finding that they were actually really paying $45 to come to our workshops because they paid for a babysitter, many of them. So we started very small with ticket prices around $5. We do, as a side note, rotate our workshops every other month. So on 1 month it's on a Wednesday, and then another month it's on a Thursday, because we found that women have commitments sometimes every Thursday for the whole entire academic year. That takes out 42 weeks of, being there every Thursday. They would have to miss it. So we rotate it. This year, moving forward in 2017, we have raised the registration price to $15, and because the speakers do get paid. So the speakers get an honorarium right now of $50 to come and speak. We're hoping eventually to raise that as well, but right now they just get a small honorarium to come and speak. And then we're working on annual memberships. We also would allow vendors. So if a woman has their own home Etsy store and would like to be a vendor at a workshop, she's more than welcome to come and be a vendor at the workshop, where we would eventually have a very small vendor fee to be able to have a presence at the workshop. So right now, eventually also we're looking at, I'll let you talk about future thoughts. Digital.
Yeah, so we're also thinking about adding some sort of digital content and digital portal as well, to offer maybe for those women that can't make the workshops but still want to engage and still want to take part in the development. Still working on that and what will be offered versus what won't, but it is in the scope of 2017.
Yes.
Have you considered offering childcare even for an additional fee?
So, yes, I would love to talk with you further about that. I think what my, would you like to come and babysit?
Are you volunteering?
Exactly, because we can go ahead. We're already booked for 2017, I can get you all the dates. Insurance.
No, I know.
That's, where we're kind of stuck with that.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that we're looking at and looking into. A lot of our women have asked about it. Or if they can't get a babysitter to come to the workshop, a lot of them have asked, well, can I have a digital code to come in and watch it? And then we're just like, we're just not there yet. But, we do have that. We have a large audience of women who are either not able to make it due to childcare, and then not able to make it because we don't have that digital access right now. But yes, childcare is on our thing to think about.
What we have been doing so far is trying to combine into a childcare pool. So we're getting a feel on which women are having the issues with finding childcare, and we're suggesting that they team up to share babysitters in one location or another, because we can't offer the on-site childcare just yet.
So I guess you consider this a nonprofit right now? I mean, because it doesn't sound like you're really making a whole lot of money.
Right now it is an LLC, so yeah.
All right.
So not nonprofit and 501c3 type thing,
Right.
But not a profit right now.
Right.
Just a
I guess just to follow up Karen's question, what was your aha moment that made you decide that it seems to me like there's an awful lot of organizations out there. Karen mentioned BNI, that's just one. But you're in a very crowded space. I guess that's my question.
Yeah.
I think our aha moment was understanding that with our diverse background, we've had opportunities that have either been extended to us because of somebody that believed in our path or our journey, but we've also gone up a couple of walls that we've had to scale on our own. And we wanted to combine that partnership, that development in a space that was a little bit safer. Again, getting back to that community-driven empowerment and engagement, we found that when we were seeking out groups, specifically women groups, we weren't finding that. We were finding more contrived, more organized, more stale, and not necessarily the organic, the natural, the genuine, the sometimes a hot mess that all of us are.
And I think my aha moment is that I come from an artist background, so I'm a dance professor at ODU, and I also work in the nonprofit sector, both of which will never send me to professional development only because the money is not there. Does that mean that I don't deserve that? It means that I do deserve it. It just means that I have to go and seek it out in other places. So then I did. So then I went to all of these different networking opportunities, and I found that the focus on that was so specialized to whatever they were doing, which is great. So if I was going to go, to this networking, the product was to help you sell more houses. Or if I was going to go to this networking event, it was to help get clients to bring in retirement plans. Or if I was gonna go to a happy hour, it was to talk about our 9-to-5s and drink. And I found this place and I was like, what if I want the product to be that I make you a better person, that I make myself a better person, that I follow your journey and I say yes to, you know, what you're trying to achieve. And I just could not find that anywhere. I found it by watching TED Talks through my, you know, iPad, but it wasn't personal. I never got to ask follow-up questions. I never got to do anything like that. And I also never got to apply that TED Talk to my life personally while the speaker was in the room. So when I found that I just wasn't finding the kind of development that I was craving, I said, let's try to do it here. The first one was at my house. They sat on the floor. I mean, and then it grew from there. Yes. I think
To
so.
me, that's your story. What you said
That's
kind of
fantastic.
hit home with what you said, rather than competing with the other. I think that's the niche you need to really market out strong.
Should be in your pitch.
Okay, so yes, he's right, Ray's right, that was compelling, but I'm gonna ask you to kind of walk through a meeting, because
Okay.
I'd just like to kind of understand, because there are a lot of professional groups that you go in there and you can network.
Yes.
A lot of groups are about networking, and getting in, and just, and if you make a commitment to that group, like Many Cups, whatever, you get to meet people, and those associations may benefit you and help you and nurture you in some regard. But I don't think it's what you guys are doing, and I think you do have a niche, but I'd like to kind of walk through a meeting.
Okay.
But my thing, as a second follow-up, is I am concerned about your business model. You know, $15 a person, and
Yeah, I'd love to.
I'm just not seeing, money being made here.
Right.
So that's a concern that I have, you know, about your whole idea.
Yes, also a concern that we have. Let me walk you through a meeting really quickly. One of the things that we do with our business is we want our business to have a personality, and we kind of envisioned what we would want it to look like 30, 40, 50 years from now. And so one of the things that we do is we say, bring your favorite coffee cup. We started super small. We know that we all have favorite coffee cups that keep our coffee a little bit more warmer, and we just love it. So we were like, bring your favorite coffee cup. Every woman will come, they register for their workshop, or they can purchase their registration at the door. We bring their favorite coffee cup, they have coffee available to them. The first 20 minutes is just get some coffee, sit down, find a seat, talk to each other, tell each other where you're at, what you're doing, what's going on. And they really talk. We have a hard time sometimes being like, okay, it's workshop time. You know, they really, really get connected. And then after the 20 minutes, the speaker will come on, and the speaker will only speak for about 40 minutes. And time integrity is very important, so we cut them off as well.
They get the mean face from me in the corner.
Yes. So once that is done, once they're done with their speech, whatever that is on, finance, health, marriage, arts, whatever, development, whatever it can be, we cut them off. Then we pass out the worksheet, which was individually created between the speaker, and then I also help them create that worksheet. That worksheet goes out, the women get 10, 15 minutes to work on it in silence. There's some
It's never
music
actually
playing.
silent though.
Yeah, it's usually never silent. Like usually some of the women will either laugh out loud or cry or comment or something, but they will work on that individually, and then after they work on their worksheet individually, the speaker comes back with myself as the workshop facilitator, and we go through the questions and we ask the women to speak. We have asked them to speak on some very vulnerable topics. We have had women standing in front of us crying who leave there being like, we have had women stand up in front of us who get passionate and heated, and then they're like, wow, I needed that out. Like I needed to say that and I feel better. You know, we have had the spectrum of the experience that we've had in these workshops is great, but then the best part of it after that, they finish their worksheet, they are done, they hug, they network some more, they get more coffee, then they end up leaving, and then this is when the magic happens. We get to see through social media how that workshop actually formed their thought process and their actions for the next month. So we see their Facebook statuses, we see their Instagram posts, we see them actually working through whatever they were talking about. We see them meeting up for coffee because we challenged them. you know, we had a girl say that she goes to buy grapes and she sees a girl that looks kind of like her and she wants to be her friend, but how do you go and be like, hey, do you want to be my friend?
I don't like grapes.
You know, you can't, right? And then you're like, okay, great. So we actually see them trying to make it from, how's the weather? How are you? Fine.
That
We see them going
superficial
from there.
networking conversation of, oh, I'm gonna repeat the same answer to 20 different people in
Yes.
the room. So we get a little bit deeper, and that helps throughout the workshop. Actually, the workshop is typically more impactful as far as networking. And through some of that genuine in-depth conversation, we see those partnerships form from projects, business, all of that. Yeah.
I was gonna say, I know there's a lot of business owners in the room, and I'm jazzed by the idea because I like the idea of my staff going out and receiving either education on-site or out in the community, and we pay them to go out into the community and
Yes.
receive
And that's what we're finding.
outside education. I think the everything that you're doing in the Q and A is the piece that's really driving it, making it even more exciting for me.
Awesome.
The more you separate yourself from the BNI idea or the networking idea, it's not that. It's not, let's get together and exchange cards or give me your address book, what can you do for me, what can I do for you? It's the professional development, it's the educational piece and the application of the education piece. And I think if you drive those 2 points, that's gonna be the differentiator for you. And it's gonna be, you know, I would try to avoid the word network as much as possible.
That's
And
great
maybe
advice.
use
Yeah.
the word pairing when you're doing the support, you're pairing people to resources that they need, but avoid the word network.
I love that language.
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
Yes, thank you. Yes.
Two things. I might have missed this. Does WELL stand for anything?
Great question. And it doesn't really. I just thought of when I was putting it together and to have it at my house, I thought I'm feeling completely depleted. And I was feeling completely like there was nothing out there for me to refill myself up. And so I thought when you're thirsty, when you're craving something, where do you go? You go to a well. And so we think about that as the workshop, you know, where do you go when you are at burnout, past burnout, and there is no one there with you? You go to be refilled, and how can we refill you? And that's what
And on
drives that.
the proactive side of that, wellness is something that is a huge buzzword right now, but quite often as women, we don't focus on our own personal wellness. And that could be professional, personal, relational, all of these different components go into our wellness. So on the flip side, yes, if you're depleted, you go to the well. But the goal is also to just be well.
Yeah, and sustain that. Yes.
I think that's, you need to back up, because I think that's really more of a branding opportunity than anything else. Your explanation of going to the well is very powerful, and you really need to go back and rethink that, because that's a very powerful brand.
But it's not the first thing you think of.
Yeah.
I was thinking wellness,
Get
rather
well.
than the well.
Oh, wow,
So
okay,
what's
good
your
to know.
concept there?
Story, be like workshops when you're thirsty or something.
Yes,
Ooh.
yeah.
I like that.
I like that too. I like that too. Yeah, yes,
You need to
Water
charge
for a
for
thirsty
one.
soul.
yes.
They'll charge it.
Listen, let's get real. Yeah, we need to charge more money. Yeah, and we are figuring that out. And what I'll tell you, one of the blocks that we're hitting is that, just as she said, women don't always think about themselves first. That comes from money too. Women are gonna give their money to everyone else first, before they spend it on themselves, is what we're finding. And so, that's something that we are trying to keep in mind, just like scheduling, just like everything that, you know, childcare, we're also trying to keep in mind that, like, how do you charge more and also not cut out women?
Yeah, you increase the price.
Yeah. we need to go to lunch. I know a little bit more of that.
Well, you
Yeah.
know, people value it more. I mean, if
Yes.
it's a low price, then you say, oh, that's a low value.
Yes.
And so that would, you know, $35, $45 is probably more of a realistic, I don't know.
Okay, that's
research
good.
on it.
That's good to hear.
What do you
market
pay for a massage, $50?
Yeah, anywhere from 65, 50 to 65. Yeah, 50 would be good.
So,
Yeah.
What's your relationship with Well Richmond? Is it a franchise? Is it an homage? Is it
Right.
you get nothing from it and they just get to use your marketing and name and branding? You know, how's your partnership with them work?
Something else. That's something else that we're trying to figure out, and, you know, being completely transparent. We are we don't know the answer to that quite yet. We kind of see it the way that TEDx is formulated, where a city buys into having a TEDx, and then you have to follow their rules, but they do have to buy in to have it. So we are looking at that, and they are pumped and ready and have already found a location that's not gonna charge them, and they're ready to go. They're picking their organizers now, and they're ready to do this. And then we're the ones that are like,
Yeah. The pause on that is not understanding quite what we want that relationship to look like just yet.
Well, you guys got some work to do on the whole thing.
Exactly.
Yes.
I'm nervous about expansion before you even know what your business model is.
Exactly, which is why we're paused on that.
I would definitely
Because
pause.
it's all well and good to be very pumped about it and to have these things set up. But until we're solid and we understand what solid looks like for an expansion or
Yes.
whatever that is, we're paused.
yes.
You got legal. and-
Yes.
Oh yeah, we have lots of that.
Trademarking well.
Yes.
So where and when do you meet?
Yeah, so right now we're meeting the last week of the month, and it rotates Wednesdays and Thursdays. It's from 6 to 8 p.m. We don't want to hold them too late. They need to get out. We get them out at 8 p.m. They can stay and chat if they'd like, but the workshop is done at 8 p.m. And then it rotates Wednesdays and Thursdays, the last week of the month. Of course, for December that got changed because of the holidays, but
Any place?
right now we're meeting at 1701, the co-working space down at the ocean front. And,
I was thinking that would be a good place for me.
Yeah, it is a perfect spot.
it is a wonderful location, and the women love it. and-
Yeah, so that is
You heard it, John.
1701.
Yes. Yes, and right now we're hitting around, it depends on the time, but anywhere from 15 to 30 women are coming to these workshops regularly. We haven't had a workshop where we've hit, 5. We've always hit between 15 and 30, and only gonna continue to grow there. Oh, yes.
As a follow-on pitch, if you're a member of 1701, you get to come for free.
Well, there you go, that's right.
Yes.
But that's stopping soon, because you're giving away everything.
Unless you're
It's
not a woman, in which case you can hang out with Ryan and I.
Yeah, exactly. You can hang out with Ryan and Jeff in the back.
And Rick, you got your ear to the door, you gotta trying to figure them out.
I wish I knew what was going on in there.
Did you see all the men when you had that slide up
Yeah,
here
put that
like
slide
that?
down
I
there.
mean,
This
they
one?
were
Yeah,
melting
I'm taking
down
notes.
Like a Mel Gibson
These guys-
moment?
They were like
The
freaking
first
out.
one.
Yeah, we're
Yeah.
actually in another room talking about verbal judo, so.
Yes. Yes.
No idea.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes.
So you said they're 6 to 8.
Mhm.
So my first thought is that's prime sports time for kids.
Right.
So have you thought of doing 2 workshops, and you have one for stay-at-home moms during the afternoon, and then you hold a different one for people who work from 6 to 8? Because 6 to 8 that's a tough time.
It is a tough time.
It
Real
really
tough.
is, and we've talked about potentially doing one like mid-morning or somewhere around lunchtime or even some weekend events. We don't have a perfect answer to that yet or a perfect plan, but we are considering it.
Okay.
Have you polled your people to see if there was a different time of all the people who couldn't come or the babysitters and whatnot?
Yeah, and a lot of it's been, again, childcare or a babysitter canceling at the last minute.
Yes.
And then sometimes we get okay, well, I have every Wednesday night, I have to do this. And that's where the rotating Wednesday and Thursday nights came from. For now, it's not a huge hurdle as far as attendance, but as we continue to grow, it may become one. So something we're keeping.
And that's what's pushing the digital thing as well. That's what's pushing that, driving it as well. That way they can access it on their time.
You know, in digital media, they a lot of times get eyeballs and they figure out their business model after that, or maybe they're more sophisticated. They know that to get the eyeballs and they can start doing, making the revenue. And I kind of equate kind of where you guys are right now. You've got your attendance thing at 15 to 30 or whatever, I think is really good for a startup. I mean, just to get people to come out during that time frame. But you got to get with your membership and you got to kind of figure out where the points are, where your revenue stream is going to come from. I know I keep harping on this, but that's your Achilles heel. I mean, on this, because I don't really know how much people are going to pay on a monthly, and then you got churn after that, or you're going to retain people, keep them engaged enough. You got some things to figure out. But the fact that you've got people coming is good. And if they like what they're doing, if you've got a good product, then that's a good thing, you know. So now you just need to kind of get with them, and you got to figure out where the tipping point is. What are people? How much do they like it? You know, they need to go. They need to pay for it. You know, somebody needs to pay for it.
And I'm intrigued by what Chris said, because, you know, he would want to send, I'm assuming what you said, you want to send your employees to this. And if that were the case, and you could tap into a market, because a lot of these employers would like our women to be healthy, would want to do that, but we would give them morning time. You know, wouldn't you think at 8 to 9 in the morning, or 8 to 10 once a
I don't
month?
know
Or
what time they're gonna get it. If it's related to, I'm in the mental health field, if it's related to mental health, we'll put it in their box and say this is approved for reimbursement, stuff like that, so.
But I think to your point, a lot of organizations would want, you know, a 10 to 12 a.m. seminar or something during working hours that they could just, you know, slide some folks down to the conference room instead of having to adjust their hours.
Or do the lunch thing like the AMA does, you know? I mean, so people have a lunch break, so you take an extended lunch break one day, and do this thing that your boss approves of, because makes you a happy person when you come back to work.
Yes. Oh yeah, no, definitely. In a lot of like the workshop, we leave them with a challenge. So they'll work on that for the month. You know, that could be, if it's in the financial realm, like save $1 a day. Maybe don't go to Starbucks every week. You know, something will give them a challenge, and you'll see them as business owners. You'll see them working on it. Yeah. Yes.
Carrying on from that issue or question, I think there's a lot of large employers that have wellness programs. And if you actually did work with that employer and did a program within their site, and then the employer pays for it, pays for you, because you're a profit-making organization. You're not making a profit, but you're a profit-making organization.
That's one of the
And so
things
you
we
get
definitely
that, and then that can be a lead generation into your monthly meeting. So you could have these 6, 7, 8, 20 of these a month in large employers, and that could be what's making you profitable, where the other part builds the mission that you have, but both of them. So.
Yeah. Yes, I would love to do that. We gotta find other people to do our full-time jobs for us. Yeah, that's what we really want to. That's what we want to do. That's where we see it going. Is that we see coming to employers. We see employers, you know, saying, "I've got 20 women that are interested in coming. Can you send me an invoice?" We invoice. They pay for their employees to come. You know, either they give an incentive, the employer gives an incentive for getting wellness credits or something like that, where it's like, this is something that we're investing in, something we're investing in for our employees. It's something that women are investing in for themselves. We've had husbands call and say, how much can I pay for this upcoming workshop? I'm sending my wife, I'm babysitting, she's coming with her sister. You know, we've already seen that. We've already seen the, you know, interest is there, the impulse to be involved is there. It's just making it, monetizing it.
And then that model could be scalable to Richmond, to DC,
Yes.
to other cities where you get
DC's already asked about it as well.
representative of what are in that city to run them there. But you know, you're the financial model for it. And that's scalable.
We'll get your job.
Yeah. How do we do that? Let's go.
Make money.
Yes, did you have
I would add on to the name talks, like that's part of your trademark. Because ideally, you could give lots of talks, mental health, wellness or whatever, and different talks on how to motivate people. And that's basically what you're doing, right? So then you can bring
for
in
each
real.
woman, that's different.
Yeah, you're basically promoters for wellness talks.
Yeah.
Like a mini TED talks, except you charge people to come see it.
Yeah.
And then if you hit the AMA stuff or whatever, you can go to their Geico or whatever, you could, take a listen to your seminar and you get the money out of it.
Absolutely.
Hand hiding.
Yeah, going back to your well.
Yes.
I think the first thing I would do, I'd pull out Virginia Beach. I think that's gonna hurt you in the long run.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's nice that it's headquartered in Virginia Beach, and I know Ray White appreciates that.
Absolutely.
But I think what I would do instead of that, I just put underneath there empowering women, or something that's part of that whole branding concept. Because then it's gonna be easier for you to franchise it or take it to Richmond or DC or Roanoke or whatever. I think if you brand it well, Virginia Beach, I think you're gonna be making a mistake.
Okay.
I wouldn't go with empowering women. the message has to be that, but that is like, I think that's overused, empowering
Yes,
women.
it
It's
is.
Yeah, I would
everywhere,
say that.
right?
It's on the right
So
track.
that's the message, but whatever the word is that you guys come up with, that's fine.
Something,
And I-
something about going to that well, you gotta work that out. What do you
Yeah.
say?
Yeah, and that's gotta be in the
I
pitch.
wanna say
That
something,
makes sense.
because I'm in their target market. And I've been to their workshop, and I would never go to any of the other women's workshops around here because it's not really my thing. The local piece of it and the local community, I feel like that's important to the people who are actually attending it. And so I would be careful like putting in too many of those buzzwords about it being a women's group and empowering women and getting, because then it becomes a lot more similar to a lot of the other ones that are around there. So I don't know, I'm not a branding expert, but as like a person who's your customer, I completely disagree with that.
That's a good point, because how it seems to me, everything I'm seeing, community is what's attracted folks. And
Yeah.
when you think community, you think of a smaller group, not just everybody, but a community that meets your needs. So, good point, Lisa.
Maybe it's
I,
about community
yeah,
and
just make
Virginia
well
Beach
the
or
brand, and then well Richmond, well Virginia
Right,
Beach,
yeah, we
well.
are,
Right.
that would work. We
Well,
are
do
making
you-
Yeah,
it
that's what
easy.
we were thinking. That's
That
how
way
we
you
tie
keep
that
community,
together. Yeah.
and then you also keep the brand. So if I'm in
Yeah.
DC and I see well, and I went to Virginia Beach, I know what it is.
Well, the
Yeah.
problem is, in that scenario, you have to know what well is to begin with.
Right.
Yeah.
So what you do is women's workshops,
Yeah.
right? Well, women's workshops. If I
Virginia
Google
Beach.
that, I'm gonna go to you because there's no other Wells women's workshop probably anywhere in the country.
And you don't wanna
That's
go,
what you do.
like you said, to the well drilling.
Yeah, please
Yeah.
don't go there for
oil.
us. We're not there.
Yeah. No, that's really great advice. Yes.
So I think you guys are great. I think you're great front people, and I think I have a house full of girls. So this is awesome. This is awesome to know that this exists. So and you guys are moving in the right direction. I think it's key for you. I mean, 4 months into it, got to get that revenue working. I think maybe focusing on one thing that's going to separate you guys. And you got a lot of really great input here from the group. But the thing that's been screaming to me the whole time is the female network marketing community that's here. I don't know the current numbers, but last time I looked at it, it was like 350,000 women in these network marketing companies that are trying to get the support that you're providing.
Yes.
And inside of their community, the only places that they go